Hi. Hey, everyone. Can you hear me? I have no one to check me on my audio. Retro. Let's see. How's everyone doing? Okay, I can hear myself. There we go. Okay. Hi, everyone. Welcome. I was trying to set the mood. You like it? Yeah. So, tonight, what we are going to be doing is we are going to be reading some of my favorite authors' best work. This author's name is Dahlia West. Hi, everyone. Hi, E Prime. And Dahlia West is actually, in real life, Kathy Shank's adopted daughter. Now, if you're part of the Delphi fan bam, you know who Kathy Shank is. But if you're new here, Kathy Shank is the infamous or famous, depending how you look at it, woman who found the magic lost tip about Rick Allen and saved the day, aka ruined a man's entire life and his family's, and put us all here in this fucking hell trying to get this man out. So, Kathy Shank, famous lost tip. I am under the belief that she is well aware that she didn't do anything special. You'll often find when they're trying to give her credit, like Nick McClelland or someone tries to give her a shout out, she looks almost uncomfortable. I think that's for a reason, right? Because she really didn't do shit. And if she did do something, it was probably back in 2019 when she originally printed the tip, right? Whoa. That's not that crazy if you ask me. I mean, why are you honor bound to Ron Logan? All right. Anyway, cut to Kathy Shank. Stupid tip. I guess at some point she adopted a daughter. She has one daughter and then adopted a daughter, and I want to say she has a son. I'll double check. But anyway, so one of those daughters became an author of sorts. She writes what you might call erotica, hence the scenery in the mood. Which I just found this out the other day, the last time we did it live. So she does erotica, I guess, and she has several different book series. But aside from writing erotica, she also really likes to get on Reddit and talk mad shit to Rick Allen innovators. Yeah, that was fun to see and read through. So we're also going to read through those. Those will be fun. Stepson deceased. Okay. Yeah. And shout out to Classic for like giving me a ton of info on Kathy and her daughter. Hey, Gajer. Bug, I think I found something that ties Evansdale to Delphi. What's your email? I'll send you the link. I will write it. And before anyone yells, don't worry. Dox me, bro. Show up at my house. I have mail protection. I dare you. Not that I need it. I'll fuck you up all by myself. So it's up to you. There is my email. Okay. What was I saying? Oh, we're going to go through the Reddit stuff. But I also want to get all your guys' opinion on what we should read as far as all her books go. But before we do that, let me just take a look see here and just say hi to all the people in the chat. Ola, Steve, Biggie Fish, Candy, Classic, DB, E Prime, Goodjer, Louise, Mandy, Mar, and Skinny. Thank you guys for being here, and everyone else that's watching. I appreciate you. Okay, so I am a Caitlin. Yes, I like to go by Kate. If you're feeling nasty, if you wanna call me that. Oh gosh, V. Let's see. I bought a Dahlia West book for laughs and ended up begging Amazon to please remove from my Kindle. They said we can't refund the money, and I said I'll pay you to take this book. It's so bad. The reviews were fun. I went straight to like the 1-2 star reviews, you know, because I'm sure all the 5 stars are like all of Delphi. Hi, Streets. Oh, stop it. Back at you. So here was my idea, because I was like reading through it's not a shirt, it's a dress. I got fancy for you guys. Okay. But I was reading through the books. Oh, thank you, baby. Fuck. I hate technology sometimes. Back at ya, hottie. So, as I was like going through the summaries of each book, it's not that they sounded bad, but I was noticing what year they were all from, right? So, hold on. Oh, look at that. Beautiful. Just beautiful art. So, I was looking at all the different shit and the like years they were published. And I was more, and yes, I bought it. Don't. You're welcome, Dahlia. Whatever the hell your name is. Don't judge me, guys. All right? I donated to her cause. I donated to the Free Ron Logan Fund. So, anywho, this is part of a 2-book series that Dahlia West did, and it's the Moonlake series. And this is the first book series that she did after the murders. Oh, shut up, E Prime. So after the murders, like everything else was 2015, 2013, 2014. So these two, this one and the other one, were the first to be published after that. I think it was 2019 was the first book. And I would be more inclined to see if she gives us any tidbits of anything, like if she takes anything from her life experiences and puts it in her books. Might be more interesting to read the ones after the murders, should she put anything shitty about her shitty lying mom. Or we can just go read the Stark Inc. series, which is from 2014. I think she wrote it. And it's about her, I guess, it's probably about her family because it sounds similar, like the Stark Inc. series, the Shank. Like, it's probably more about her family in that series. But it's up to you guys. What do you guys think? feel like this light is holy bright. Y'all got to tell me, what do you think? What should we read? What should we read? That's a great idea. Actually, yes. You're so smart. Okay. Here we go. Stark ink. Woo! You know, to be honest, guys, like I was like trying to skim through a little bit of one of the books, and it wasn't sexual at all. Like, I even like Control F sex. There was like none. I was like, what the fuck? I thought this was smut. What are we doing here? All right. So first book option is harder. And this one, Adam Stark loves two things: his art and his family. Years of hard work and single-minded pursuit have set Stark Inc. well on its way to becoming the most prestigious tattoo parlor in Rapid City. His success has been hard-won, and it came with a hefty price tag. Blood brings you back. Tragedy strikes and leaves Adam reeling in its wake. His mother's last request seems simple enough: keep the family together. But Adam's been gone way too long, and this isn't the family he remembers leaving behind. Old wounds have never healed, and dark secrets churn just below the surface. No matter how hard Adam tries, the deceptively easy task of saving the Starks just keeps getting harder. Okay, that's harder. Book 1. Book 2. There's got to be a short. I'm not going to sit here and read like a whole fucking. Okay. An accident drove Dalton Stark headfirst into a bottle. While he was drowning, he lost his job, his family, and Zoe, the best thing that ever happened to him. He's sober now and slowly earning back the trust of his family. But his mother is gone and Zoe's moved on without him. Even though things will never be the same, he's determined to make it one day at a time. Ooh. Now, your girl loves an alcoholic. It's, I'm in recovery. So. That one didn't sound terrible. I know, it doesn't sound like erotica. Let's see. Oh, look, this one's about her. Ava wasn't born a Stark, but that hasn't slowed her down. Now that she's 18 and has had her own wheels, she's discovered the seedy underbelly of Rapid City, South Dakota, and its underground motorcycle racing circuit. As things get worse at home, speeding toward the finish line and away from real life is the only time she feels truly free. There's even a hot racer who gets her engine revving faster. All right, book 4. Jonah endured a horrific childhood before being adopted by the Starks. The damage had been done, though, both absolute and enduring. For 20 years, he's held everyone at arm's length. Everyone except, nope. Listen, y'all, this is the one that I had the synopsis on for the. I don't even feel comfortable reading this. Jonah endured a horrific childhood before being adopted by the Shanks. The damage had been done, though, both absolute and enduring. For 20 years, he's held everyone at arm's length. Everyone, that is, except Sienna. The sad little girl with scabby knees crept into his heart from the second their hands touched. Jonah has never really been able to let go, but he couldn't hold on either. Oh, Keith cannot be here tonight. I'm sorry. I have lost my comic relief. Please forgive me. This one is fucking creepy. Real creepy. Real creepy. Also 2015. Okay. What's the next series? Moon Lake. Okay. Moon Lake, Book 1. When Grant Daniels is unexpectedly discharged from the Marines, he heads back to his childhood home of Moon Lake, Idaho, to run his family's lodge. The place has seen better days, and so has he. The wedding party from hell, actually in New York City, checks in, complete with paparazzi and a bridezilla. Nothing in his training has prepared him for this invasion of this scale. What the fuck? Legend has it that if you look into the still waters of Moon Lake on the full moon, you'll see the face of your true love on the water. Paige Ross doesn't need fairy tales, though. She's got a ring on her finger and a white dress stuffed in the back of her closet. There's no backing out now, even if her impending nuptials feel more like a prison sentence for a crime she didn't commit. Oh yeah, and if everyone can like and share and subscribe, that would be amazing. Thank you. Okay, book 2 is Savannah Holland was a fool to think things could be different in Idaho, that she could escape her fate just by putting 2,500 whole miles and one hot ex-Marine between her and her problems in New York City. Now she can't go home, and the only place left to go is the one place she knows she shouldn't be. She's in his hotel suite. She's in his bed. She's agreed to do anything he wants, as long as he doesn't ask any questions. Cole Harris was an interrogator by trade until his dishonorable discharge from the Marine Corps. Not only does he ask questions, he gets answers, and he's not about to let Savannah out of his bed until he finds out exactly what she's running from and how to make her stay. I think we're gonna have to have I think we're gonna have to have like a book night for real. We're gonna have a book night. It depends just how bad it is. We gotta give it time. All right. Let's see. What other ones do we have? We got a bunch of country ones. I would rather start from the Moon series or the Stark Ink one. What do you guys think? I'm a little worried about Paige too, actually. Is this one Paige, book 2? I feel kind of... Wait, no, that's Savannah. Where's Paige? Paige girl, where you at? Ah, there she is. Why do you smut books? Why do you smut? What? Do I not keep saying smut? What am I saying? Oh, like my... Instead of boogies, smut boogies. I get it. Preacher series. Let's see. Let's look at the Preacher series. Where are we at? Where's the Preacher? This is... Okay. Jack Preacher Pryor is at a crossroads, literally. Left for dead in the Badlands, he's managed to survive. He's stolen a truck, but where can he go? Body broken, mind reeling from betrayal from his own MC brothers. He knows he won't last a day back in Rapid City in his current condition. Two roads stretch out in front of him. One leads to the city and one deep into the Black Hills, where no one knows him as the former president of the Badlands Buzzards. The Badlands Buzzards? Is this a motorcycle club or a hockey team? Two roads stretch out in front of him. One leads to the city and one deep into the Black Hills, where no one knows him as the former president of the Badlands Buzzards. Revenge is not a question, it's an absolute. Preacher will get his due soon. Enough, or die trying. Yeah, it's a motorcycle gang. Okay. So, hold on. What can we do here? I can't do, like, can I? Oh, I can. I'm doing things. Hold, please. All right, guys. Take my poll. We have three options: Shank Inc., Preacher, Moon Lake. The Stark series is meant to be the story of her life. Hear me out, though. Books she wrote after the murders might contain tidbits. Hear me out. Not that she committed the murder, obviously, but you know what I mean. Like, inside scoop. What do we get? But either or, because, you know, maybe we could learn a little more about Kathy. I heard rumors she was a slut. I don't know. That's just what I heard. Allegedly. Slick. Slick was the one that had the character named Abby. Actually, I don't remember seeing that one on here, so let me look for that one. Oh, it's from the Burnout series. Oh, 100% off. Well, 2013 is going to be bad. So, okay, guys, we have to completely take back that she named that character after Abby, because it says this was published in 2013. So, we're going to have to retract that statement. Sorry. It has literally zero price. Right. I wonder why. Like, she gets a lot of reviews. Like, a lot. And I'm like, people are reading this shit? Having just completed Shooter, I have to agree with other reviewers that this should have been offered as a freebie or not offered at all. Tell us how you really feel. All right, okay. Moon Lake 1. Moon Lake 1. We're starting with Moon Lake, but I tell you what, guys. If it's like awful, god awful, we'll go back to the other one. However, this one is more recent, so in normal world, her writing would be better. We'll see. Alrighty. How do I want a title page? Shoot this tab. Typograph. Ooh. You ready? If you dove into the deepest lake in South Dakota and swam all the way to the bottom, you'd come out on the other side in Idaho, underneath a strange moon. Enjoy your time there, but don't stare too hard at the shadows in the trees. They stare back. Let me get my ass out of here. Hold on. God help my brain, guys. God help it. Hold on. There we go. She did it. She did it. Okay. Chapter 1. Grant Daniels woke suddenly when he felt a jolt underneath him. His foggy brain registered it as the plane's landing gear. He forced himself to keep his eyes closed, listening to the sounds of the commercial airline cabin around him. It was quiet, close to 5 a.m. He knew, even without having to look at his watch. He would have been up around this time anyway, just a few days ago, when he was still a United States Marine. Today, he was a civilian, uncomfortably crowded between two men almost as large as Grant himself was. Scratch that, one man, Grant thought, with his eyes still closed. In the quiet pre-dawn atmosphere of the interior cabin, Grant could sense Cole, his former lieutenant, was still sitting on his left. Indeed, Cole couldn't have gotten to the aisle without squeezing past Grant to get there. And Silas in the aisle seat, except Silas was missing. Grant could tell from the lack of breath sounds, the lightness of the air around him on that side, that and a million other sensory details that had kept him alive for more than a decade in the Corps. Silas's seat was empty. At least the plane was still in the air. For now. Grant stifled a groan and opened his eyes. He turned directly to the occupied seat on his left and narrowed his gaze at Cole. Cole, sensing movement, opened one eye, saw his former captain glaring at him, and merely shrugged. He closed his eyelid and settled back into the seat. "I'm not saying I know," the younger man muttered, "but..." Cole lifted his hand, finger extended, and pointed to the pulled privacy curtain at the front of the plane. Grant managed to stave off another groan. This time he sighed quietly. "How long has he been in there?" He kept his voice low enough to avoid disturbing the other passengers. "A while. I'm pretty sure he's gone at least twice." Grant's brows raised. "Twice?" Cole shrugged again. "Long flight. Nature cold." A few minutes later, Grant heard the flimsy, half-plastic door of the plane's lavatory swing open. Underneath the curtain, he could see a pair of high heels skittering around a pair of heavy steel-toed boots. He heard a quiet, feminine giggle, a few hushed words in Silas's gruff tone. A few moments later, the curtain swept to the side again, and their unit's chopper pilot stepped out, looking pleased with himself, as always. Is this a homoerotica? I literally bought this one, guys. I donated to her cause because I just didn't have the patience to go finding it another way, to be honest. but her shit's cheap, so. Ew. Cole was awake now, shaking his head at the man. Silas grinned at them as he strode to their row and sank down beside Grant. Grant shook his head. Did you at least wash your hands? Hell no, Silas half whispered. I want them to smell like fresh. Oh no. I can do this, guys. I can do it, I swear. Once I get this one out of the way, we'll be good, all right? I want them to smell like fresh Nebraska pussy for at least another few hours. Beside Grant, Cole snorted. Did you have to go twice? Silas shrugged. What can I say? She can't get enough. Oh, I believe she can't get enough, said Cole. He grinned. Couldn't make her seatbelt light ding, huh? Silas' jaw dropped. The hell I didn't, he hissed quietly. I'm just saying, I didn't hear you park your jet in her hangar, that's all. She's the quiet type, said Silas. He leaned back in his economy seat and put his hands behind his head. His grin spread from ear to ear. These here are the friendliest skies I've ever flown. She handled my baggage quite nicely. You're just jealous I got to her first. He lifted an eyebrow. Want to give it a go? I could ask her for you. Sicko. I refuse. I refuse. Cole snorted. I don't want your leftovers. I don't need your help. I never needed your help. He squared his shoulders, his voice rising just a bit now. Grant glanced around to make sure everyone around them was still asleep. I was banging Perez, Cole announced. What? Silas nearly barked. Grant was about to order them to zip it, but then again, he wasn't really Cole's superior anymore. He'd never been Silas's superior except in looks, maturity, and matching socks. Grant considered it for a moment, and then caught Cole looking at him. Maybe this is a homoerotica. That's kind of cute. Cole grinned at him sheepishly. I guess now that you're not my captain, I can... Ooh. Wait, what if I read this in a different tone? Yeah? Cole grinned at him sheepishly. I guess now that you're not my captain, I can tell you I was boning Perez pretty much the whole time we were in Q. Grant rolled his eyes. I know. The blonde's jaw dropped. Wait, you knew and you didn't do anything about it? Grant sighed. It was early, or late, by his internal clock, still stuck in another time zone. He shrugged. She seemed fine. I had bigger problems. You weren't selling her protection, so I figured it was none of my business. Though now that it was out there, Grant watched the slightly younger man closely. You gonna call her? Asked Silas. Cole's expression darkened, and he leaned back into his too small airline seat. He shook his head, no. Would she pick up the phone? Silas asked quietly. Wait a minute. Have you seen a woman from Nebraska? Listen, women from Nebraska, she speaks for her. I no speaky for her. She no speaky for me. I think Nebraska women probably have like potato fresh everything. Okay. Cole sniffed. Nope. If she sees my face again, she'll spit in it. Or put a bullet in me. Silas' expression darkened. Yeah, I hear you. I can't go home. Grant's lips formed a thin, hard line. His parents' own were dead. His parents' own were dead? Girl, you got an editor? Probably better for his mother, he thought, than having to hear about her disgraced son. Grant tried not to picture his father, buried in his uniform. Though they were headed to Idaho, there was no way Grant could bring himself to visit their graves. Beside him, Cole shook his head, as if to clear his thoughts. Then he looked at Grant again. So, what are Idaho girls like? Anything like Nebraska girls? Grant was relieved the subject had changed. He shrugged. I haven't had my hands on one since I was 18, my last summer at the lodge. I remember hot nights, cold beers we stole from the restaurant fridge, and perky tits by the handful. Cole smiled widely. Sounds like heaven. Sounds like the opposite of the goddamn jungle, anyway. And that's close enough for me. He leaned back in the seat and closed his eyes, smiling, as though he already felt the sun on his face and the nipples on his palms. Grant couldn't blame the man for wanting to put the past behind him. He glanced at Cole's shoulder, looking for Crenshaw's blood. Didn't find it. Of course not. Cole had been in uniform when the sniper's bullet had tore through their medic just weeks ago. They'd been ambushed. Grant had to remind himself that he could trust the two men on either side of him. Why they were still with him, he couldn't say. The rest of the unit had scattered to the four winds, the mission scrapped, the fallout from the ambush still radioactive, at least in Grant's mind. Betrayal had a half-life. Grant understood he might not live long enough to put the thing to rest. Hmm. No. I very much doubt it. It probably even smells the same, to be honest. Do you think it smells differently by region? Moving right along. Outside, the early spring air was crisp. A welcome change, Grant admitted, from the steamy jungle where he'd just spent the last 4 months. Are we hoofing it or getting an Uber? Asked Silas. The fuck is an Uber? A German sex trick? Asked Cole. It's the car service, said Grant. Oh, right. Grant frowned as he looked down the loading lane. It was early. There weren't many cars. There's supposed to be a shuttle here to pick us up. His jaw twitched. They're late, he growled. Cole and Silas exchanged looks. I feel sorry for the driver, said Silas quietly. Former Captain Grant Daniels was not a man to keep waiting. Cole nodded. He's going to shit his shorts after the cap gives him an earful. We're not that far out yet, he pointed out. In a few weeks, he'll stop starching his shorts and showering in cold water. If this doesn't work out, we could start our own gang, I suppose, said Silas. Oh, yeah? What kind of gang? Is it a gang of the white supremacy variety? And do what? Asked Cole. Silas shrugged. I don't know. Rob banks? DB Cooper type shit? Hey! Shout out. Hey. I thought we scared DB off too. As did I. Oh, excuse me. I sent Dee Dee a YouTube video where they interviewed women who give Brazilian waxes. According to them, there's a... Oh, God. I didn't know where that was going. You could carry the cash. Could work. Cole grimaced. Rob a bank? You want to go back to Mexico, where it's hot and people shoot at you? No, you're right. I'm ready for the snow bunnies and ski lifts. But he frowned. If we ever get there. He turned to find Grant eyeing him. What? Rob banks? Asked Grant. Silas shrugged. It was a joke. Grant studied the man in front of him, a man he thought he knew. But nothing was what it seemed these days. Grant's assessment of Jude and Collins had been wrong, disastrously so. Did he really know Silas? Or Cole? Wait, all because he made a joke about robbing a bank? wait. wait. Okay. Grant studied the man and... Wait. Hold on. And do what? Silas shrugged. I don't know. Rob banks, DB Cooper type shit. I can fly a plane. You can carry cash. Could work. It was a joke. Grant studied the man in front of him, a man he thought he knew. I was kidding, Silas insisted. Grant frowned. It was the kind of joke Silas would have made a month ago, and if Silas hadn't defied orders and stolen a bird to evac the survivors, neither Grant nor Cole would be standing here now. He felt like he was back in boot camp. Everything and everyone felt unfamiliar. He sighed, shook his head, and hefted his duffel bag onto his shoulder. Let's get a car, he declared, and headed back inside toward the rental desk. When's the fucking start, guys? I can, like, just cancel out anything going through my brain. Honestly. Those she's so smart rumors, I don't know where they come from. Half an hour and a few $100s later, the three ex-Marines loaded their gear into the cargo area of a rental SUV. Silas ensconced himself behind the wheel. No one argued. If it had a motor, Silas could drive it better than anyone else. The man would have felt at home inside a tank. Not that anyone would ever let him get his hands on one now. He was terrifying enough in the air, mostly because he could barely take his eyes off chicks long enough to get them from point A to point B. If Silas had access to a tank, he'd accidentally run over a 4-star general's quarters while watching porn. The road leading to the lodge, at least, was as Grant remembered it, lined with tall pines on both sides, winding its way up the foothill toward the lake. As they rounded the last curve, the Moon Lake Lodge came full into view. Grant parked the SUV in the hotel's front loading area and stepped out. Wow, the gate had me a little nervous, but this is fucking amazing. Grant felt the familiar flood of pride as he looked up at the 5-story lodge sitting majestically on the bank of Idaho's largest lake. A large wooden and stone porch wrapped around the entire building. In the back, it stretched out over the water, adding additional seating for the restaurant. The large double doors were made of heavy mahogany and carved with natural motifs of flora and fauna local to the region. I love saying that word, mahogany. It was still a work of art, even if it was old. Some of the larger paving stones on either side of the wooden steps had rolled haphazardly into the grass. The building's presentation did not even come close to passing muster. Hey, said Grant, stopping in front of the large ornate check-in desk. My name is Daniels, Grant Daniels. The girl behind the desk looked up at him in surprise. Grant didn't know her, but he could tell she recognized the name. There was supposed to be a shuttle? What? The girl stammered. Grant struggled to keep his voice even and not lose his temper. Shuttle? From the airport? Why wasn't it there? The girl chewed her lip and tugged at her shoulder-length hair. The shuttle broke down. When? Demanded Grant. She said again. Last season? The men exchanged looks. Grant tried not to scare her, but he felt his shoulders tense. Where's Morrison? He demanded. He glanced around the lobby, but saw no sign of the hotel's manager and partial owner. Grant's uncle should have never sold such a large stake of the place to the guy, but Grant had been in the Corps and understood that the property couldn't be managed alone. Said the receptionist. This time, Grant shot her a sharp look. She gasped and reached out and hit a button on the phone. Nothing happened. She stabbed it again, eyes getting wider as Grant grew narrower. He's not in his office. Grant didn't bother to wait while she tracked him down. He dropped his duffel bag behind the check-in counter and headed straight out to the back door to the rear deck. The boathouse was several hundred yards away, and the trail leading up to it needed some serious weed whacking. It wasn't as bad as the Mexican jungle, but it wasn't far off either, especially for the early spring. Clearly, no one had been landscaping for some time. The boathouse was as good a place to start as any. Grant reached for the door and pulled. "Look out," called Silas as the large sliding door groaned on its track and then crashed to the ground. The three men blinked at it. "I can fix that," said Silas. Cole rolled his eyes. "Big deal. A monkey with a can opener could fix that. I could fix that." Silas grinned. "I wouldn't call you a monkey to your face." Grant sighed. The boathouse had been his favorite spot growing up. Now it looked as though rats had gnawed at the coiled ropes and spiders had nested on every exposed beam. Out on the dock, there was a familiar row of wooden speedboats, 1950s pleasure cruisers. Grant was relieved to see they were still there, at least. The three men approached the nearest watercraft to inspect it. Up close, the boards were clearly warped, and the leather seats were cracked. Silas reached out with his boot to top the motor. The wood splintered with a loud crack and the outboard motor dropped from its mounting and into the lake with a splash. The three men watched as it sank, 4.5 feet to the sandy bottom. "I can fix that," said Silas. "Bullshit," replied Cole. "It's underwater." Silas shrugged. "I can still fix it." But he eyed the rest of the boat. "Not sure there's a point, though," he added. They circled around to the maintenance shed where the lodge's helicopter sat unused. "Now we're talking," said Silas, who shoved open the unlocked gate and headed straight for the helipad. The shed itself appeared empty. Grant did the math and realized the lodge's chopper pilot would have retired about this point. It appeared as though Morrison hadn't yet hired a replacement. Thankfully, nothing fell off of the aircraft when Silas started poking at it. Silas already had a panel open and tossed a large metal ring over his shoulder. It clanged on the tarmac. "You don't need it," he called over his shoulder, reassuringly. "I'm not getting in that chopper," Cole said to Grant. "He knows what he's doing," Grant replied. "You sure?" Grant was pretty sure, but he kept his mouth shut. Down by the water, they discovered the cozy bungalows used for private rentals had been abandoned. The wooden porches were sagging. One was missing most of its roof. "You could rent the place out as a horror movie set," said Cole. I know, I wish there were pictures. Also, like, page 14, what are we doing here? What are we doing? How is this erotica? Is it always like slow build? I thought it was like porn movies, like where there's like, sex scenes, at least one per chapter, maybe. No? Thank you, Kate. Grant didn't answer. At this point, he was ready to snap Gerard Morrison's neck, if he could find the bastard. He turned and marched back up the hill toward the lodge proper, as he strode purposefully along the hotel's rear deck. Cole and Silas bringing up the rear. A fat, balding man that Grant had only met once in his life huffed, red-faced, as he rushed to meet them. "Jerry Holman?" Grant said nothing, because people were around. Nice, normal civilians who didn't need an earful of a Marine captain who was pissed the fuck off. Former Marine captain, he reminded himself. An ex-Marine. But there were no ex-Marines. His father had told him that a Marine never left the Corps. But what if the Corps left the Marine? Grant shook off the thought and lifted his large arm and jabbed a finger at the fat man. It might have... Sorry, I just keep picturing Jerry. It might as well have been a bayonet, because the older man paled as though he'd suddenly lost all his blood. But the way Grant felt right now, it was still a possibility. He jabbed his finger at the rear office door next and waited for Humpty Dumpty to waddle inside. Grant didn't want to hear excuses or empty promises. He was exhausted from the flight, but didn't allow himself to show it. "You're fired," he said, by the way of greeting. Morrison's mouth dropped open. "You can't fire me." "The hell I can't. My uncle's share was left to me. I own just over half." He narrowed his eyes. "You're less than half, Morrison. Is falling down around your ears. You haven't kept up with the maintenance on anything, as far as I can see. Bookings are down. I can tell just from the number of cars in the parking lot. I hear the ski lift's not working. Neither is the shuttle. Not that anyone's paying to stay here." He stepped closer to Morrison. The man stumbled back, hitting his fat ass on the wooden desk. Oh! hitting his fat ass on the wooden desk. Literary genius. Behind Grant, Cole chimed in. Got any duct tape, he asked. Duct tape, a screwdriver, and a fishing hook are all I need to find out exactly how much he's been skimming. At 6'2", Cole was just as intimidating as Grant. More so if Morrison had any idea that Cole was telling the truth. The manager's lips opened and closed like a carp freshly snatched from the lake outside. What the fuck? Oh, hey. Oh, hi. How dare you? Okay, where? Let me try to. This didn't make sense to me. Hold on. Okay, at 6'2", Cole was just as intimidating as Grant. More so if Morrison had any idea that Cole was telling the truth. What? The manager's lips opened and closed like a carp freshly snatched from the lake outside. This doesn't make any sense. You have two choices, Grant said menacingly. The bald man swallowed hard. You can leave now, or I can call the sheriff. Sheriff Tony Liggett. Hi, B. Hey, girl, hey. Hold on, I lost my place. Okay, here it is. Grant wasn't sure the sheriff would do anything. Most likely, he'd just say, get a lawyer, and Grant would spend the next few months in court. He didn't relish the idea. He just wanted Morrison out of his sight and away from his family's business, permanently. There'd be more legal wrangling down the road, obviously, but Grant had been traveling for 2 days, and if he had to look at this fat pig of a manager any longer, he'd let Cole take out his knife and poke at him. To Grant's surprise, Morrison nodded and practically fell over his own 2 feet as he darted for the office door. Would have been satisfying to cut him. Really? Said Cole as they watched the man bounce away. Cut, you say? Grant shot Cole. Look, I'm just saying. You miss your job too much, said Grant. Look who's talking. Grant walked around behind the desk and opened each of the drawers, sighing at Morrison's untidiness. Papers and pens were shoved everywhere. How a man this unorganized could still manage to steal was a talent in itself. In the bottom drawer, Grant spied a half-empty bottle of Chivas. The bird's good, said Silas, lowering himself into one of the leather chairs on the opposite side of the desk. A solid model, just needs parts and a halfway decent mechanic. Oh, good. Do you know one? Asked Cole. Silas gave Cole the finger. I can handle the shuttle bus, too. While I'm waiting on chopper parts, I could tune up the boats. I can hang the door to the boathouse, said Cole, and help with the cabin renovations, but we'll need to hire a day crew. Grant gave him a surprised look. Cole shrugged. I'm good with cabinetry. Kind of a hobby. I thought your hobby was jerking off, said Silas. Cole gave the man a smirk. It is, on your toothbrush. Silas rolled his eyes, not taking the bait. Grant settled back into the leather chair behind the desk and reached down to pull open the bottom drawer again. He took out 3 glasses from the set of 4 in the wooden box and lifted the bottle. He poured 3 glasses of whiskey he'd normally never be able to afford and passed 2 to Cole and Silas. He was amazed at just how far the 2 of them were willing to go for him, halfway across the world to the ass end of nowhere, Idaho. It was heartening to see such a display of loyalty, especially after Jude. He shook his head, though. I can't pay myself anything, and I probably can't pay either of you very well. So, just like the Marines, said Cole. Most of the equipment is old, out of date, and half of it doesn't work, Grant reminded them. Cole snorted. Get to the part where we're actually civilians, because so far this sounds exactly like being in the Corps. We will be constantly fighting against nature as well as the people around us, said Grant. Just when I thought I was out, said Cole, pouring himself another finger of whiskey. They pull me back in. Well, we're definitely going to need a bigger boat, said Silas, preferably one with a motor that's not underwater. Cole eyed him closely. I thought you said you could fix it. I can, Silas shot back, but I can't turn back time. The boats are old. Some of the hulls are rotting. A few of them will have to be replaced. Grant sighed. All of this is assuming we generate enough revenue to keep the doors open. He frowned as he looked around them. The land's worth something, I guess, if it comes to that. You want a lot of rich assholes chopping up your family's land? You know it's mostly rich assholes who will be staying here, replied Grant. Cole shrugged. Yeah, but they won't own it. We followed you this far, said Silas. Might as well stick it out. I've got nowhere better to be. As long as I get a rack and 3 squares, I'm good, added Cole. Grant caught himself scowling. None of this was how he'd drawn it up. He felt like a failure. Worse than that, he felt like the traitor they tried to make him out to be. He should have kept a better eye on his men in the Moon Lake Lodge. He hadn't been able to save most of his unit, but maybe it wasn't too late to save his family's hotel. He forced himself to smile and picked up his glass. Well, gentlemen, he said, choosing the words specifically. Welcome to Moon Lake. I'm lost too. I want to do like a movie night where we watch that because I've never seen it. I know. Okay, first of all, this is supposed to be erotica. The closest thing to erotica we've gotten is men flirting with each other and talk of Nebraska pussy. So, there's that. What is this about? For real? What is this about? Excuse me. Just before midnight, closing time for the lodge's bar, Grant took down a photo of a fishing contest more than 30 years ago, or so said the sign one of the men was holding up. He replaced it with a framed photo of the guys, the whole unit before they'd gone into the jungle after Cesar. Even Jude was in the back, not exactly smiling at the camera, but still looking slightly amused. That was how Grant had always thought of him, on the verge of warming up to the group. He considered pulling out the photo and using his knife to carve out the traitor's face out of the frame. He turned away from it because he could feel his blood pressure rising with every passing second. He scanned the bar, which was thinning out with the late hour. In the corner by the window sat 2 female guests talking. Oh, female? Are we getting somewhere? Talking over drinks. The blonde was leggy with shoulder-length hair. It had been a long time since Grant had seen a woman who wasn't wearing a uniform. He dragged his gaze away so he didn't seem like a creep. He set down the rag and picked up his beer glass. He took a long, slow sip while looking at the full moon hanging over the dark water. When he set it back down, he realized he'd polished the same spot on the bar for 15 minutes straight while looking at the blonde. Maybe I do need a woman, he said quietly. He had a lot in front of him, though. Not just the polished wood bar, but the hotel that housed it and the land that lay beyond that. It was going to be tough, raising this place from the dead. Grant was the only one that would do it. Maybe even the only one who could, assuming he could do it at all. He grunted and smiled to himself. He should check the military online dating sites. He'd even settle for a soldier, if he couldn't find a Marine pretty enough. Then he frowned. She wouldn't want him anyway. Associating with him at all would result in a discharge. His frown deepened, and he rubbed the cloth harder into the slick wood surface of the bar. Chapter 2! Jesus Christ. The wheels of the plane touched down on the runway, but Paige Ross dug her nails harder into the arm's rest. The other first-class passengers barely seemed to notice they were landing. Most were still tapping away on their phones and laptops. Beside Paige, Savannah eyed her. You're the only person I've seen look less happy that we landed safely, said Savannah. Were you hoping we'd crash? Paige tried to force a smile. It's just nerves. Savannah raised an eyebrow. You're as bad as Tallulah. Paige gasped. Savannah! She scolded. Don't say that. Savannah shrugged. I'd never say it to her face. She's not here, so it's fine. Paige scowled. That's terrible. Another shrug. Still true, though. Ahead of them, Paige's fiancé Landry Emerson and his friends were already up out of their seats, reaching for their carry-ons. One of the flight attendants appeared, waving her hands and speaking quietly. Landry turned and flashed her his million-dollar smile. The woman blushed and apparently forgot what she was saying. Landry always got his way. Paige watched as her fiancé leaned closer to the woman, whispering to her something that elicited a giggle. Paige frowned and picked up her speedy bag, deciding not to put away her magazine out of sheer pettiness, she acknowledged. On her way toward the exit, Paige shot the other woman a dirty look, which she never even noticed. Excuse me? You're just letting him flirt with another woman in front of you? Excuse me? When Paige glanced back at Savannah, the other girl was rolling her eyes. Paige felt the now familiar twinges of embarrassment. Behind them, Paige's mother had cornered her own flight attendant. Paige wasn't close enough to hear their conversation. She was simply glad her mother wasn't talking to her. Miss, called a voice from behind them. It wasn't one of the flight attendants, but a fellow passenger, the one with whom Paige had shared a storage compartment. You forgot this, the woman told her. Paige blushed crimson at the... Paige blushed crimson. Paige blushed crimson as the woman pointed to the folded garment bag, securing Paige's wedding dress. Oh, cried Paige, and wrestled it out of the bin. I'm so sorry. Though she didn't know why she was apologizing to this woman, she hefted the garment bag over her shoulder and headed back to the exit. Freudian slip, whispered Savannah. Paige simply shook her head and kept walking. They made their way to the front of the plane, where her fiancé had apparently forgotten he was supposed to actually board. As Paige approached them, she plastered on her own million-dollar smile. Are we ready? She asked in a high-pitched voice that sounded stupid, even to her. Landry barely glanced at her. His eyes were glued to the screen of his phone. He grunted, which Paige supposed was as much of a response as she was likely to get. And with a flick of his slightly too long hair, the flight attendant had been forgotten. Paige had never been remembered in the first place, and their group was the first off the plane. Paige dragged her feet a bit on the way to the baggage claim area, pretending now not to notice Landry trying to usher her along faster. She wished they'd taken separate flights, or that she and Savannah had taken the train with Tallulah instead. No, it's the first book. I'm lost too. Where's your bag? Asked Landry shortly. Wait, where did I go? Where did I go? Which way do I go, George? Paige's mother had already flagged down an airport worker and demanded he load all her belongings onto a golf cart rather than carrying any of them herself. Maybe mine's next, said Paige, voice rising, trying to appear hopeful. Everyone peered up the ramp as seconds became minutes. God damn it, Paige, Landry snapped. Paige's eyes widened. But it should be right here. Finally, Paige's mother appeared, scowling. Where's your bag? She demanded. Much same way Landry had. Much same way Landry... Girl... A mess. Paige threw up her hands. I don't know. It's just not here with the others. Maybe they're still taking them off the plane. Paige's mother peered down the empty conveyor belt, scowl deepening. Paige felt her heart thudding in her chest and tried to breathe slowly as both her mother and her fiancé got more agitated. Finally, Paige's mother declared, Well, you've lost it, she declared at the man she'd forced to load the golf cart with her things, as though he'd done it himself. To his credit, he wasn't cowed. He gave her a sympathetic look and a shrug. Sorry, ma'am. I don't know if she's married yet. Maybe this is her fiancé and he's a dick. It's not his fault, Mom, Paige said quietly. Constance Ross clearly disagreed. Constance Ross clearly disagreed. Of all the times for you careless people to lose bag, it's my daughter's wedding in a few days. Oh, wow. Her fiance is just a piece of shit, guys. Gee, I wonder why she's going to be a big old giant whore and cheat on him. Savannah snorted and leaned in. No, you just nearly forgot it a minute ago. Let it fly solo to Tulsa and make some lost and found employee a very happy bride in a few months after she smuggled it home. Paige elbowed her. Shh. The airport employee just kept shaking his head. Sorry, ma'am, he repeated. I'm not a baggage handler. The office is right down there if you'd like to make a claim. Constance shook her head. We won't hold out hope that you suddenly remember how to do your jobs, but go on, Paige. See what they can do. Landry sighed angrily and followed, though it looked like that was the last thing he wanted to do. His phone was clutched in his hand, unwilling to even put it in his jacket pocket. Paige tried to stay calm. Constance sniffed. We'll go to the car service area. Her mother said car service as though a limousine or a Lincoln Town car were scheduled to pick them up rather than simply the Moon Lake Lodge's shuttle service. Paige wasn't dumb enough to point out the difference to her already irritated mother. She was caught between two titans, her mother and her fiancé. Scylla and Charbet, I don't know how to pronounce that. Good God. Help. Help. Paige seems all right. Paige seems all right so far. I'm not hating her. Hi, said Paige quietly. My bag's missing. The woman shoved a clipboard at her with a blank claim sheet, and Paige picked up the pen. She scribbled quickly as Landry drummed his fingernails on the counter. I can't believe this, he said. You never get inspected. Paige gave him another placating smile. If we locate it, we'll send it on and notify you at the number you leave, the woman declared. Thanks, said Paige. I can't believe this, Landry muttered again as they left the tiny office. Yeah, said Savannah. How terrible it must be for you that someone else's bag got lost. Landry glared at her. Paige said nothing. Their small group passed the baggage claim belt again on the way to the exit. Paige looked one last time for the missing bag, giving Landry a sideways look when it was still empty. Outside, the fresh air was cold, but a nice change from the airplane cabin's recycled air. Idaho was beautiful. Paige had never been farther north than Vail, Colorado before now. Now she felt she'd wasted time spent anywhere else. Grant and Cole arrived at the airport. Oh, God, here we go. Back to these douche nozzles. Hey, Smithy. We're on Chapter 2 of Shelter, the Moon Lake series. Grant and Cole arrived at the airport in the shuttle bus, working now after Silas's tinkering. They'd washed it, too, which now seemed like the best choice as Grant spotted a middle-aged woman with resting bitch face waiting impatiently for their arrival. He did a mental inventory of his presentation. Even if he was only wearing the Moon Lake Lodge polo shirt, his top button was secured and his face freshly shaved, but she still looked at him like he had his pecker in one hand and moose poop in the other. She tapped her foot, clad in a high-heel shoe that was probably worth more than Grant's first truck. The pair of them could have put him through college, he guessed. She looked at Grant like he was something she'd just stepped in. He nodded and smiled, friendly-like, or as best he could manage for a man his size. It felt odd, unnatural, and the woman didn't look too impressed. Get your bags for you, ma'am? She eyed the shuttle as she could see right through the fresh wax drop. Maybe she could. It certainly wasn't a luxury vehicle. Grant half expected her to change her mind, cancel her reservation altogether, which he hoped to God she didn't. Without the income from the suite of rooms she'd booked and the reservations for dinner in the restaurant, Grant wouldn't be able to make next month's mortgage payment. The brochure said car service. Shuttle service, ma'am. Though Grant had only briefly looked at the brochure, he did think it said shuttle service. The woman sniffed. He wondered how she was managing to look down her nose at him while having to look up at a 6'4" frame. I'll get your bags, said Grant. Obviously, she replied, but at least she moved out of his way. Behind her, a cocky-looking young guy with hair so long it hung almost in his eyes strode up behind her. He didn't say anything or even nod. He just thrust his suitcase at Grant and went back to typing on his phone. He was scrawny, by Marine standards anyway, the type of guy who'd forever be referred to as a green weenie, if he managed to survive Paris Island at all. By the looks of it, a sand flea might outmatch the kid. So he's an asshole and he's a dweeb? Paige. Paige! Get it together. It's Grant and Paige. Grant is an ex-Marine with a stick so far up his ass it's coming out his mouth. Two girls hustled along as well, bringing up the rear. The tall, dark-haired one was whispering to the shorter, mousy brown-haired one. Grant put them at early 20s. The shorter one had a giant-sized rock on her left hand, so she was at least old enough to spend someone's money, which looked like a job well suited to her. Jesus, said the green weenie as the girls approached. Did it just drop 20 degrees out here? Then he turned and eyed the tall, dark-haired girl. Oh, no, it's just Savannah. The guy next to him snorted, and Cole chuckled too. The dark-haired girl slid her suitcase forward toward the edge of the sidewalk. She shot the weenie and Cole both a hard look before she also shoved her shoulder bag at Cole, while he was already wrestling with her large suitcase. When Cole didn't reach out to take the offered bag, she simply dropped it onto her suitcase. Cole's eyes narrowed at her. You could lend a hand, he told her. The girl tucked her purse under her arm and began a slow clap. Cole's jaw twitched, and it looked like he was about to read her the riot act. Grant surged forward to defuse the situation by taking the shoulder bag from Cole and hefting it onto the shuttle's cargo area. Thankfully, Cole joined him with the girl's larger bag. Can you believe this? Cole hissed. These people? Her? We need their money, Grant replied, so zip it. He moved back to the sidewalk and approached the mousy-haired girl. And your suitcase? He asked, looking down at her. Paige stared up at the man in front of her, completely frozen. He towered over her. So much taller than Landry. This man's hair was lighter. Light brown, shot through with gold streaks. She thought maybe. It was hard to tell because it was so short. His eyebrows were light, though. His eyes were a clear, sharp green. In her entire life, Paige had seen nothing like this man close up. Not close enough to reach out and touch the way she could now. Naughtily, some lizard part of her brain conjured up images of the statue of David and urged her to reach out and touch the man standing before her to see if he, too, were made of material that was smooth and hard. Oh, now we're getting somewhere, baby! Now we're getting somewhere! The tag above his shirt pocket bore the logo of the Moon Lake Lodge, a sketch of the lake with the full moon above it. The name said, Grant Daniels, owner. This is likely page 30, page 23. This is likely page 30, and no one has gotten laid. This is horrible smut. But goddamn, this shit is funny. I know, it's only chapter 2. Wait, where am I? Okay. Okay, the tag above his shirt pocket bore the logo of the Moon Lake Lodge, a sketch of the lake with the full moon above it. The name said Grant Daniels, owner. Beside her, Landry grunted. A direct flight, and she still managed to lose it. Paige shook her head, not taking her eyes off the man in front of her. I don't have one. I mean, it got lost. He merely nodded at her. Paige found herself boarding the shuttle next to last, with Savannah standing on the sidewalk and the other lodge employees stowing the luggage. She mounted the steps into the vehicle directly behind Mr. Daniels and felt something touch her leg. Hook it, actually? Paige struggled to lift her foot, to avoid the obstruction, but it was too late. She squealed as she pitched forward, her hands pressed up against several pounds of chiseled muscle along his back. He spun and caught her, holding her by the upper arms first, to keep her from hitting the pavement. Whoa! Are you all right? His hand slid to her waist as he helped her to her feet. Paige shot a look over her shoulder at Savannah, who merely shrugged and tapped the foot she just used to trip Paige. She gaped at her friend before turning back to the man who had her in his arms. Sorry, I'm sorry, she said. I'm so sorry. It's all right, as long as you're not hurt. It took entirely too long for Paige to realize she had both her hands on his chest. She looked down at her palms, each one above his pecs. Don't squeeze, please God, don't squeeze, she said to herself. Her hands had desires of their own. Her fingers pressed down on barely yielding flesh. Only his skin, warm through the fabric of his shirt, gave way at all. Her breath caught in her throat. She indeed had once stood in front of Michelangelo's David and wondered what the statue's hard marble felt like to touch. Now she knew. There's 444 pages. Oh, God. Yeah, this is not going to be a marathon stream. Mommy's going to get off in like 12 minutes, and we're going to make this a weekly endeavor. We might start a different book next time. We'll see. We'll see what you guys want to do. Okay. Paige tore her hands away, mortified that she just... Wait, what? Okay. Paige tore her hands away, mortified that she just molested him in public. It's a weird word to use for that. She just molested him in public. She withdrew them too fast, though, and nearly fell backwards. He had to pull her closer, catching her at the waist again. His hand was just above her hip. She could feel it. He didn't squeeze, because he was a gentleman. Paige did not feel like a lady, though. She blushed and felt her face flush crimson. Ah, she loves to talk about blushing crimson. Hey, Belly. I'm about to. Oh, God. Maybe you should sit down, he told her quietly, before you get hurt. Whoa. The fuck? What's that? God help us. She nodded, unable to speak, and slipped past him as he turned to sit in the driver's seat of the shuttle. She hurried all the way to the back, past Landry, who was glaring at her, and her mother, who was already on the phone again. Paige collapsed onto the back bench, as far away from the man as it was possible to get, and not be tied to the roof, or stowed underneath the vehicle like their suitcases. Which might not be a half bad idea. She wondered how dark it was in there. She needed to disappear. Savannah boarded. Savannah boarded, stalked to the rear bench as well, and sat down beside her. I can't believe you did that, Paige hissed as the shuttle pulled away from the curb. The other girl shrugged. Well, if you're not going to throw yourself at him, someone's got to give you a fucking shove. Paige gaped at her. I'm getting married, she whispered. You're not married yet. Whore. That's awful, said Paige. What kind of person would do that? They both looked at Landry, who was steadily typing into his phone. You know, said Savannah. His two best friends in the whole wide world are here right now, sitting next to him. She turned to look at Paige. So, who's he texting? Paige pressed her lips together into a hard line and looked out the window, saying nothing. Oh, shit. Clocked it. Grant and Cole unloaded the bags. Oh, excuse me. Chapter 3. Grant and Cole unloaded the bags from underneath the shuttle, and a bellboy pushed them inside. Most of the party was gathered in the lobby. He found the girl from earlier, the one who couldn't walk and chew gum at the same time, over by the fireplace. He sighed and marched up to her. She hadn't even checked in yet. She didn't have her room key, didn't even know where she was supposed to go. but she had her phone out, and he rolled his eyes as he walked up to her. There was no cell phone use in the lobby. She'd either ignored the sign or hadn't seen it. He wondered if she could live without the thing for even one day. Probably not. If he took it away from her, she'd probably cry. He sniffed at the image that came to his mind. This girl, crying. He didn't like it. He wasn't that much of a bastard. "Hey," he said, then remembered where he was. "Miss?" She turned, and Grant could see that she had the camera feature pulled up. He stopped. "Oh, your mother's almost finished checking in. Sorry, I thought you were on the phone." "No, I was just taking a photo of this beautiful carving," she said. "Do you know how old it is?" Grant shook his head. "No, but there are two similar ones elsewhere in the hotel." Her lips parted, and Grant's cock took notice. He sniffed, trying to ignore it. He hadn't given her much notice at the airport. Now that she was standing in front of him, he realized it had been a long time since he'd stood in front of any woman without a uniform. "Really? Where?" she asked. "One's at the bar. Are you—" He studied her, looked her up and down. She was thin, frail even. He could see that now she'd taken off her jacket. It was laying across an arm that didn't look substantial enough to hold it, or even a scarf. "Ladies and gentlemen, we've reached our first cock." uh, she was taller than most girls. Leaf like a dancer? What is that word? Looks like I need to brush up my dictionary. Wait. Here we go. Okay, she was taller than most girls, like a dancer. Grant could picture her in tights and those little pink slippers. Then he had to stop picturing her in tights and those little pink slippers. Without meaning to, he glanced all the way down to her feet and breathed a sigh of relief. She was wearing trail sneakers. They were small, though. He sniffed again and wondered what her bare feet looked like. But he was at work, and this was his job, so he dragged his gaze grudgingly back up her body. Her tits were too small. He grunted. "Wow, great. Are you, are you even old enough to go into the bar?" Her jaw dropped wider, wide enough for him to see a pink tongue. Her eyes widened too, and he could see they were deep brown. "I'm 25. "Oh, I'm sorry. It's just that you look so young." When he was 25, he was on his first employment. Seemed like a lifetime ago. Paige suddenly became aware that she was gaping at him like a hooked fish. Her mouth slammed shut. He didn't say anything else either, thank God. He was already looking at her like she was a bug that had crawled into his beautiful hotel lobby. A sharp voice broke the awkward silence. "Paige!" She jerked her gaze from Mr. Daniels to her mother, who was looking annoyed. "Can we please go to our rooms now?" She snapped as though Paige, with no luggage, had been the holdup since their arrival. Paige nodded anyway. She stepped away from Mr. Daniels and toward the elevator bank, just in time to catch a thoroughly withering look from Landry as the doors slid shut. A cold jolt sliced through her. She couldn't imagine what she might have done wrong. They'd only just arrived. Mr. Daniels, his blonde employee, Paige, Savannah, and her mother all entered the second large car. Even before the doors slid fully closed, Paige swore the car heated up about 10 degrees. Savannah checked out the chiseled blonde god standing in front of them. Just as she started to shoot Paige a sly grin, he suddenly turned his head to look over his shoulder. He caught her mid-smirk and shot her one of his own. As hot as things had started to get, they turned instantly glacial. Only Paige knew how indignant Savannah could get when her pride was wounded. The girl sniffled and began jabbing at her phone, just a second too late for it to look anything other than forced. Paige clamped her lips together to avoid being caught smiling at her embarrassed friend. When she glanced away, her gaze collided with Mr. Daniels, who was looking at her. She felt as hot in that moment as she felt cold when Landry had glared at her just minutes ago. Suddenly the car arrived, and the doors slid open. The men led the way, pushing the 2 luggage-laden carts. The blonde had Savannah's... Wait, where did I go here? The blonde had Savannah's bags. Mr. Daniels had Paige's mother's. Paige's room was just a few doors down from the elevators, and they arrived at it first. She stepped over to a suite door and fished out her plastic key card. She gave Mr. Daniels a sympathetic look as she ducked inside her room. Paige felt guilty leaving him alone to deal with her mother, but there really wasn't any reason to go anywhere but her own room. Once she was safely inside, she slapped the stainless steel hook of her garment bag over the closet door and sank into one of the chairs by the window. Outside, Moon Lake shimmered in the bright afternoon sun. It stretched so far that Paige couldn't see the other side of it from where she sat. It looked like a pristine, nearly waveless ocean, though the wind seemed to kick up the occasional large ripple. She knew it wouldn't be warm enough to swim in, but it looked gorgeous, flanked on both sides by tall pine trees and just budding maples, birches, and elms. She could see snow high up on the rocky crags to the left, in a place she knew she could never reach. Paige dragged her gaze from the northwest paradise and stared at the garment bag for as long as she could manage it, then finally turned away. Like a painting in a museum, though, it felt as though the thing were watching her, following her every move. Paige crossed the room again, grabbed it, and hung it in the closet instead, shutting the door firmly on it. Then she headed to the bathroom, closing that door and locking it, despite the fact that she was the only other person in the suite. Hands shaking, she reached into the pocket of her Lucky's jeans and dug out a crumpled piece of paper. She tossed it into the garbage underneath the sink, then thought better of it and snatched it back out. She ripped up the baggage claim tag, shredding it into a handful of tiny, indecipherable pieces, and shoved the whole mess at the bottom of the can, placing a few wadded-up tissues over it for good measure. She washed her hands and dried them on the hand towel, a gesture that was more symbolic than anything. Then she shut off the bathroom light and closed the door behind her. She headed back to her window to enjoy the beautiful view. Jesus Christ. I thought she was too. Holy fuck, I'm bored. Hold on, wait. When do we get to... Okay, we're gonna finish chapter 3. We're gonna finish chapter 3. Grant waited patiently to be dismissed with a nod of Dragon's head. She was too busy inspecting the room he'd given her with all the authority of a drill sergeant. Luckily, Grant had been in this position many, many times. He watched the older woman's hand pat the comforter on the bed, then pull it down and reveal fluffed, daisy-white pillows. She sniffed as though she'd been surprised. Well, at least the rooms have a decent view, said Mrs. Ross finally. She eyed the bed, though, warily. Have the sheets been changed? Yes, ma'am, said Grant. She sniffed. We'll need more towels. She hadn't even been in the bathroom yet, or even the room, but Grant merely nodded. Yes, ma'am. He set her luggage down, gently, and gripped the brass bars of the luggage carrier. Here, she said, waving her hand at him. Frowning, he realized she was holding out cash. Oh, no, ma'am. She raised her eyebrows at him. I'm the owner, ma'am? He glanced down at his collar, where his rank insignia would normally be. He felt a sting of hurt pride that nothing about him said captain anymore. He forced a smile. No tip necessary. Her mouth dropped open. Then she sniffed again. Well, fine. Don't forget the towels. He nodded again. Yes, ma'am. Maybe being a civilian was more like being a Marine than he'd assumed. He pushed the luggage carrier out the door and closed it behind him. In the hallway, he found Cole, possibly attempting to intimidate the brunette who'd arrived with the wedding party. Seemed that way, anyway, with the way he was towering over her and giving her a hard look. Or maybe he was trying to be sexy? If that was the case, they clearly hadn't been back in the world long enough yet, because she obviously wasn't having him. The dark-haired girl held out a folded bill to Cole. Use it to fix your haircut, she told him. Cole glared at her, and Grant managed to catch his subordinate's eye. Cole fixed his expression as though he were being addressed by a superior officer, but he couldn't remain silent. There's nothing wrong with my hair, he grumbled. It's uneven, she replied coolly. It's way too short, but it's also uneven, so you should at least take care of that. Cole actually took the offered money and pocketed it. Grant cleared his throat, but Cole ignored him. Finally, Grant said, "Let's go. We have other guests." As they headed toward the elevator, Grant glared at Cole. "You can't take their money," he said. "You own part of the hotel." "It's hazard pay," argued Cole. "And trust me, that's one hazardous bitch." "You should have taken some cash yourself. I highly doubt that kid can actually carry his own bags. He looks like most he could lift is a beer." "A light beer," said Grant. "One of those fancy umbrella drinks," said Cole. "The only thing that green weenie can drink is a few shots of something fruity." "He's not a green weenie," said Grant. "He's a customer. A paying customer." The green weenie knocked on Paige's door, but she didn't open it. Grant pictured her already relaxing in the tub, probably with bubbles and champagne, assuming the lodge had any, too busy to answer. Indeed, she never did answer, but instead of walking away, the green weenie turned around and knocked on the taller one's door. She wouldn't answer either. It was strangely satisfying to watch the kid strike out twice. He turned and looked down the hall, toward Grant and Cole. "Hold the elevator," he called. Grant shook his head and cupped a hand behind his mouth, more for effect than anything else. "Can't reach the button over the luggage carrier," he called as the door slid shut. "Sorry," he added to avoid the complaint-slainer. "God damn it," the green weenie shouted. Grant looked at Cole once the doors were closed and rolled his eyes. "Hey," said Cole, "can you hit 3 for me so I can run by my room?" Grant reached out with his long arm and jabbed the third-floor button with his thumb. He leaned back to see Cole's shoulders shuddering with laughter. "It's the little victories," said Grant. The car stopped on 3, and The car stopped on 3 with a light ding, and Cole shuffled around the luggage carrier on his way out. "Hey," said Grant as Cole moved through the door, "are you going to check your hair?" Cole hesitated. "Maybe." Grant broke into full-on laughter for the first time since they'd been back stateside. "Jesus Christ, she's already got you hooked." No, I just want to look good for other women. Not that harpy." "Harpy?" Grant shook with a belly laugh as the doors slid closed. "Holy fucking boring! Oh my god. Oh god. Help me." That's terrible. Chat is fire, though. I love you guys. I do want to go to Reddit real quick before we end the evening. What is her oh, thank you. Thank you. I should have been a voice actor. No, but what's that broad's Reddit name? Classic. If you don't mind. The story is riveting, I know. I can't wait to read about more non-sex. Very clearly self-published. Very clearly. Classic. I love you. Thank you. Mm-hmm. Oh my god, yes. Susie, you came in late. Hold on. You ready? I made it nice. I made it nice for y'all. I'm even wearing it's a dress. All right. Let's find this bitch, shall we? Can I just tell you the amount of times that I wanted to be doing that, but I'm like, whoa. Like, God, I'm having to raw dog this shit. Thank you. Thank you, Lovey. All right. Where's this bitch? What's her stupid name? Professional Lurker 77. Good thing she didn't put professional writer, because they are. They are. I have a healthy fear of fire even before I got into this fucking Delphi shit and realized how many fucking pyromaniacs are out there. What the fuck? It's not working. Professional lurker. Let's go share. All right. Let's go. People. Okay. Feed options. Ah! Let's go new. Okay. I want it so you guys can read it. Good. Okay. Speaking of her books. Ugh. Ugh. It should be. Maybe he's the main character, Grant. He's the ex-Marine she's writing about. Okay, so the last thing she wrote on Reddit was on a Richard Allen Innocent post, because these fucking people are weird and can't leave us alone. Said, I just started watching Michelle After Dark's video regarding the state's fabricated timeline, white van video, blah, blah, blah. Okay. The simple and most obvious explanation is Libby's phone is already on the North Bank at 2:32 p.m. because that's when it stopped moving. Fact. So it's already there because that's when it stopped moving. But what if that's not where it moved to? Just throwing that out there. Brad Weber drives by at 2:44 per the camera. Fact. Correct. Oh, is this in regards to the motion to correct error? Obviously, these two events have been transposed in both RA's confession and later on in the state's narrative in court. Obviously, the girls had already crossed the creek. and then the van drove by, based on the digital data. But that's not what the state said happened. You can't just like totally change and reverse the story of the confession and what the state says happened and just say, well, like, obviously it didn't happen that way. It happened this totally other way. Obviously. Because I just fucking said so. But I don't know why everyone on both sides of this case are twisting themselves into pretzels with so many alternate theories when the easiest and simplest explanation is that Ari's confession simply switches these two events. Oh, I'm glad you just decided that happened, Dahlia. What is your real name, Dahlia? That's not even your real name. We're not calling you that, all right? What are we going to call you? What's your real name, bitch? Critical gave me the goods. Oh, you just DM'd me. Hold, please. This shit is taking forever, sorry. Her real name is Jamie. She's that one? Oh my god, this shit is slow. There we go. Okay. Let's pull this one up. This is Dahlia / Jamie / whatever. It's so funny heading back home to Delphi the fuck out on Anya Kane and Kevin Greenlee. Oh shit. So hard that we all end up on the nightly news together. Oh shit. Like, it's so literally on like motherfucking Donkey Kong. If I ever see these two cunt sacks, Anya Kane and Kevin Greenlee in person, y'all have no idea. She kind of writes like me. As someone who knew Ron Logan personally for decades, I consider it a personal point of honor to absolutely throw down in public until some local law enforcement officer ultimately intervenes. Then the real fun will begin after that. I'll own their houses by the time I'm done with them. You better hope against hope I don't go back to Indiana anytime soon, kiddos. I'll fuck up your whole life. Well, it's almost like she's like defending her daddy. Like, why are you love this man? You love him almost like a father. It's weird. I hope she doesn't try to fuck up my life. I bought you a book, girl. I bought it. You can't. Oh god. Wait a minute. Okay. Okay, let me see. What was she responding to? This is an excellent write-up on the latest. What? Oh, she was just like wilding on them randomly, like I like to sometimes, where you just pick up the first tweet you see. How did they respond? They didn't respond. They didn't respond. That's funny though. Like Dahlia, Jamie, whatever you want to go by, babe. Let's talk. Like, let's talk. I want to know why it's so important for you to defend Ron Logan. That would be a great talk. Right? I refuse to believe these people aren't constantly like looking themselves up. Of course they are. Of course. Hey, Dahlia/Jamie. How's it feel to be the daughter of a fucking liar? And you're a bad writer. Sure didn't get your writing skills from your birth parents. All right. Well, sure, this time. Then all the digital data now lines up perfectly. Oh, really? Does it? Does it? She'll get all. Yeah, I don't want to. I've already been dealing with like crazy people in Twitter today. All right. What else this bitch got? That's that same shit. The van rolled by while he was cleaning up, which is why he didn't finish. So then that like changes his entire narrative, the entire confession that Walla wrote. People. Good Lord. I like this one. For clarification, I will not be paying attention to any replies. My mother will never take a dime of reward money. That's tacky. This is her career, not a hobby, or a lark, or some post-retirement adventure. She did not get paid for volunteering on the investigation. Also, she knows that she originally printed that in 2019. Shout out Daisy Ass. So she knows she didn't do anything, and she got an innocent man convicted of a crime he didn't commit. Maybe that's why she won't take the reward money. Oh, maybe. What is all this other shit? Y'all want to see the accounts she follows before we go? Hold on. Where'd it go? There it is. You ready? Here's just some of the communities she was following. Jerked onto her. Hot wife stories. 99. Is that where she gets her inspiration? Nurse Joy. Sorry, I'm just looking to see if I... Don't even say that name in my presence, Skinny. Thou doth not speak of Gollum, my precious. Yeah, that's where she gets all her writing. No wonder she's not good. Right. Wait, where was... There was something... Oh, yes, here they are. I knew there was more. Fit and 30 hot wife. AI or real porn? Ooh, peed on amateurs? Jean-Benet Ramsey. I bet she fucking thinks the parents did it. I bet she fucking thinks the parents did it. Cyberpunk. Subreddit dedicated to Cyberpunk 2077 porn. Monster Tit 69. Monster Tits. I was saying to Overthinker, let's be honest. Which is totally cool, by the way. Nothing wrong with that. Monster Tit 69. Junker Queen. Well, guys, this has been hilarious. The chat. You guys have been hilarious. Thanks for having fun with me tonight. I hope I will see you guys on Friday. I'm going to do a live about the floor 4. Going to watch some updated news story. and just take a look at some things with that case again, since we know the FBI have reopened it themselves. Thanks so much, everyone, for coming, and we'll do this again next week. I'll get on my Twitter and do like a poll and see what if you guys want to just keep reading that or if you guys want to try a different book or what. But Skinny, I will do this. If I don't do another one this week, I'll just do another show this week on top of the Flora one. Otherwise, we'll do it next Wednesday. But either way, I'll say that. So much fun. I love you guys. Have the best night. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Like, subscribe if you want to. That'd be cool if you haven't.